So 100 cameras could do nothing if no one's using them.
It's just a tool. You're really just selling the concept, what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Just, hey, you want to have, a panopticon type of approach to your business, be everywhere at once through your phone, make sure that your employees know that, they're going to be on camera, but at the same time, depending on the kind of boss you are, and you and I have talked about this in the past, you can, see it for waiting for them to mess up, or you can reward good behavior.
I think a lot of people say they were thinking that they were only going to get 4 and I sold them 10.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I have people call me all the time. I'm thinking I'm going to need 16 cameras. I was like, okay, well, let me come out and I'll see what I can do and sell them 4.
Yeah.
Because I go with that concept.
From the business capital of the world, the Big Apple, New York, Middle Tennessee, it says here. Sounds riveting.
It is.
This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, a podcast about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals.
Mostly. That's right. That's right. This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast. Thank you, Mr. Matt Wilson from the Mostly Marketing Podcast for voicing that intro for us. He and I go way back to the 90s, both when we were in radio. He's got his own podcast now because us radio guys, that's kind of what we do. Start podcasts, produce other podcasts for other people as well. This podcast is about real conversations with Middle Tennessee business owners, professionals, entrepreneurs, and they have tangents, they have rabbit holes. We have a main, concept that we like to follow, but you never know what may open up. And I'm always a big proponent of chasing rabbit holes because you get some pretty cool stuff when that happens. This is a video and audio podcast. Check us out at MMTBP.com. That's MMTBP.com. You can subscribe there, listen to past episodes, as well as apply to be a guest. We've got a nice form there. And share it with people. That would be great. I am your host, Jim McCarthy, with JimMcCarthyVoiceovers.com and It'sYourShow.co, where we produce podcasts like this one. This very studio that we're in, you can rent out and do your own podcast as well if you got an idea. Today, we're going to be talking to somebody who is a networking master. He is a massive rock star in the BNI ecosystem because he's one of the best people to invite someone to the event that we have every week. If you don't know, BNI is a networking organization for business owners. Locally, it's seat specific, so you can't have 2 of the same business in the group. And the whole idea is to intentionally pass referrals for businesses. And of course, be held accountable. You've got to have 1 referral a week, 1-to-1. They're big on continuous education. They're big on a whole other bunch of stuff, including what is the 1-to-1, Ryan? It's 1 referral, 1 CEU, and what else?
So 1 CEU, 1-to-1, which is a meeting
1-to-1, that's right,
with the person.
Right. Attendance
is also something that they count. So it means that you've been to every meeting, which is once a week. Bringing a visitor, you're supposed to bring 1 a month to the meeting.
Yeah. So that's the power, what they call the power of 1. You could bring that mic closer if you like. So, it's on a nice mic arm. You could just make yourself comfortable to it. You're trying out our new setup today. We've got a different setup. Instead of the couches, we've gone with a nice custom-made table with mic arms, and it's like a radio studio now. Are you comfy?
This is extraordinary. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Ryan is also the owner, CEO of ICU Security. You are a security camera expert, and you have a lot of, I've seen your inner sanctum at your home. You have a lot of monitors going on. Should we be saying that publicly, or is that fine?
If you've been doing something since 1991, then that would.
You might have some dirt on people.
That's right.
So 1991 is when you got started not with ICU, but in the business in general, correct?
I got started with the largest surveillance-only company in the United States, which was called Security Surveillance, based in Jacksonville, Florida. Started as a tech installing black and white tube cameras. And in 99, I left with 2 guys from that company. We started ICU. In 2000, I bought out and kept the name, went more local because we were based in Jacksonville, Florida. I lived in Tennessee and wanted to really stay in Tennessee.
Yeah.
To get licensed, it takes a while. And so when we started our company, we chose to sell in states that you didn't have to be licensed. So Louisiana, you don't have to have a license. So I was down there and I was basically gone all the time. So once I got licensed in the state, I really wanted to spend more time there and really raise a family. So ICU has been in business then since 99, but basically it's been mine since 2000.
Oh, wow. Okay. And tell me about the ups and downs of it. I mean, you had a lot of bandwidth and a lot of momentum going into it from what you previously did. And then, like any business, getting it off the ground is the hardest part.
Yeah, since we did the same thing that we had been doing, and what we were doing was very successful, it was easy to get going off the bat. Mm-hmm. When I divided off the company and went just myself, that's where a lot of interesting things really got going, because now I needed a demo site. And instead of having an office in Jacksonville, Florida, now I'm living in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So I elected to open a restaurant because restaurants fail more than any business. They're the hardest. Mm-hmm. 1/3 of all restaurants fail just from employee theft alone. Mm-hmm. You throw in competition and fads and location. They're tough, really tough. So I decided, hey, let me open up what I opened was a smoothie a franchise in essence, because that's something that I could demo and not actually be there. Mm-hmm. So I would actually go to someone else's, like let's say I go to another restaurant and I'm showing them, and I remote into our restaurant, and I had the person that I hired when she was 16 years old, and she was so good that she became my manager, and her name was Lacey. Mm-hmm. And so I would call up and I'd say, hey, Lacey, wave to Jim, and she would look up at the camera and go, hi, Jim. And I'd say, no, Lacey, the camera behind you. Hi, Jim. Mm-hmm. And so that was what we did. And when I would hang up, I would say, now, what do you think Lacey realized we're doing right now? Mm-hmm. She realizes we're watching. Yeah. We didn't say anything negative. We said hi to her. Okay. But you have to expect her professionalism is going to be a little bit better than it was before that call. Yeah. Because she now realizes we're sitting there watching. And that can become a habit. And the more times you call through and the more times you say hi and you catch your employees doing things good, they'll stay with you and you'll prevent these things and you'll have a phenomenal worker. And that leads me to where we are today. Is Lacey worked for me over 20 years, and she actually just passed away from cancer, unfortunately.
That's right, I recall that. Yeah. How old was she?
And so 38.
Oh,
had
man.
a 4-year-old, and that's really tough. And so, one of the things that she grew into once the smoothie thing went aside, and she actually so I eventually got so large that we needed our own office, and so therefore I started demoing the office, less the restaurant. So I sold the restaurant. She wound up working for a friend of mine for a couple of years, and then she came back to us. And so anyways, when she came back to us, I had her more on the marketing side, working directly with me. Mm-hmm. So every business that we have as a customer, I actually go to. Mm-hmm. And so therefore I would then send pictures to her that I took where the cameras go, and sometimes would comment, here's why we're putting the camera here. Mm-hmm. So she had all that inside information, and we would talk about it. She would create the bid, and then she would send it to the customer. Now the customer has it, and if the customer decides to do it, then she would then send those pictures to our techs, and now everyone's on the same page. Mm-hmm. And if the customer wanted something different, she kind of became my AI.
Yeah.
So she would adjust those things. So doing that with her literally for 20 years became such a incredible team. And to lose her, we'll use a baseball analogy. It's kind of like pitching baseball for 20 years to the same catcher. And now you got a new catcher. And it's like, you look at the catcher and you're like, did you just shake me off? Did you just shake your head? You're doubting what I'm about to do here on this pitch?
Right.
And so that's really challenging. The only thing I can say that is reason why it's not that negative is because she was such a wonderful person, and we talked so much about the more of doing the right thing and doing helping the customers and catching employees doing right. And we did that so much, and we talked so much more about the spiritual sense that since she's passed, Jim, I don't know how long this podcast could go, but I could tell you 3, 4, 5 stories that are very long that you can see how she has, in essence, directed me in the right direction to help. In some really weird scenarios that you're just like, wow. And so it's awesome. People that, a real fast one, was I was joking around about Walmart. And anyways, I showed up this Walmart. Someone was saying that, and this is in our BNI actually, they were saying that at Walmart, they never get a good parking spot, where they normally do at other places. And I was like, well, do you like going to Walmart? No. I was like, well, that's why you're not getting a good parking spot.
So you think it's like an energy thing, like,
yes. Yeah.
A secret.
Yeah, so
right?
we were sitting there talking about thinking so makes it so, and what you believe in. And so one person is like, I get a good parking spot. Another person says, I get free food. And so I kind of combined them all, and I said, like, well, I get free. I'll take you to lunch, and and we can go over to the restaurant that's near the Walmart. And so, anyways, we were just kind of joking around. And the girl that I said this to, she couldn't. But after the meeting, I was like, well, I have extra time, and I need oil, and I needed about to drive to Florida in my ICU mobile. And my ICU mobile right now, which is, I call it ICU mobile because it's lettered with our logo, our company logo. I don't know if you can see that or not.
I can right there.
But it's all over my ICU mobile. And I know exactly where the oil is because this would be the third time I've purchased a 5-gallon jug of it. Okay.
Right.
So I pull into this Walmart, and they're under construction in the parking lot. And so it's like, oh, wow, there's not a good parking spot. All these people are over here and they're having to walk. But I know this Walmart, so I was like, I'll just drive around, come in from the side.
Yeah.
Came in from the side, bam, the best parking spot opens up.
Wow.
Pull right in.
Of course.
Now, here's where it becomes interesting. Is I instead of going straight to all the way across, all the way down, it's in the back corner of the automotive facility. I know exactly where it is. I meandered for some reason. I had a little extra time. There wasn't a lot of people there at Walmart because of the construction. And so I kind of meandered through. I get my oil, come back out, check out, walk out to my car. And when I get to my car, the lady next to where I parked is frantic. It's an older lady, and she is devastated. And she thinks I'm Walmart security. I have my ICU. I'm walking
straight. Kind of looks like a badge.
Yeah, I'm walking straight up to her.
Right.
She thinks I'm them.
Right.
And she was like, they stole, and so someone had stolen her cart in Walmart with her purse, her cell phone, her keys. She had told the Walmart that, and she ran out to her car because she was convinced they were going to find her car and steal it too. And so she was out there frantic, thinking and I'm like, no, I'm security. I'm just not Walmart security.
Right.
And I tried to make a little joke like, I can tell you that, Walmart has the best security. Every crime show always goes back to Walmart parking lot and solves it right there.
Right.
And so soon enough, I give her my phone, and she's so nervous she can't even call. She's trying to call her daughter to tell her come pick her up, that she needs help. It takes her forever to do it, but she does it. Eventually, 2 people from Walmart come out. One of them is the security guard, and the guy goes, moved the camera on us. So we're sitting there talking. I'm talking shop with him. He's zooming in on us. And then now they start finding on the recording where she first came in and start following to see what happened. Okay. So ultimately, I leave. I called the daughter when I left and say, hey, I'm left your mom. I've got the phone that she was using, and I think she's going to be fine. So anyways, about 30 minutes later, I get a call from the lady. And she goes, Ryan, you are God sent. They reviewed the tapes. They found everything. You were walking by and it scared the guy and he ditched the cart, they think, because seeing security walk right by him. Jim, why did that all happen?
Kismet.
I mean, this is what I'm describing, that stuff like this has been happening to me very randomly right after I've been thinking of Lacey, and it's just amazing. The guy that tried to steal it, he's a taker. Do you think he's going to be able to tap into stuff like that?
Right.
You know, where
he's got a scarcity mindset.
Yes,
This is what I have
when
to
you're
do.
trying to help, and by the way, my part of that meeting beforehand was I made the statement, I'm the happiest person. I wouldn't trade my life for anyone.
Yeah.
Not even Brad Pitt, not even Jim McCarthy.
Hey, Middle Tennessee electricians, handy women and men, and just those of you needing better commercial LED lighting solutions. Yeah, I know, there's so many of you. I have to tell you, there's another option than just the big orange and blue box stores now. Try j2lighting.com. At j2lighting.com, we have the latest technology in all types of commercial LED lighting, from UFO high base, drawers, area lights, and shoeboxes, right on down to a slimline wall pack that doesn't look like a fist coming off the wall like most other wall packs do. You get what I'm saying, right? Many of our fixtures are wattage and color temperature selectable, which means you have more control over the brightness and appearance in your dark spaces. Check us out at j2lighting.com for a great local source for your commercial LED lighting ideas, even full color light show dreams. Yeah, totally. That's the letter J and number 2 lighting.com. j2lighting.com. Does Brad Pitt really have that good of a life, though? I mean, yeah, he's got the movie star good looks and the money, but is it really all that worth it?
See, that's why I wouldn't, because I don't know if he is as happy as I am.
Right.
I know how happy I am.
Well, happy is subjective. You know, how do you define happiness? What is your version of it?
That's you were thinking alike.
Yeah.
Because I'm happy because I help so many people. See, my product, it represents the owner. It duplicates them. It leaves them there. They can go do other fun things, but they're still there.
Yeah.
So often people think that, if they fire someone, they've solved their problem. Oh, that person stole from me. They did me wrong. They did this, they did that. They're lazy. They're not working. So we'll fire and get someone else. That isn't the problem in their business. The problem, that's a symptom.
Yeah.
The problem is the owner can't stand there all day long in every single room in every single place. If they could, they wouldn't have the problem because the person wouldn't do it right in front of them.
Right.
Okay. So ultimately what I'm doing is I'm helping duplicate. I just got to get the concept across that, okay, to make you know that the owner's watching, you got to call up and say hi, like I did with Lacey over the years.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 employees that have been with me 20 years.
That says a lot.
No.
Having that kind of tenure in any business says a lot, man. I mean,
Absolutely.
Especially in this day and age where I want to say maybe loyalty's making a comeback. People just want a home. And as long as you treat them right, you make sure that they're fed and they have margin for living over time that, hopefully exceeds inflation. I mean, you can't go wrong, Yeah.
If you start seeing everyone equal, it's
Right.
like, just because I own a company doesn't mean I'm special, I'm better. No. Lacey didn't work for me. She worked with me.
Yeah.
All of my employees work with me. I don't like when someone calls me boss man or the owner. Or,
I don't like it either.
Working for,
What does that mean for us? When we don't like that kind of thing.
It's like that. No, we're a team.
Yeah.
And so to cut a check to a salesperson, meaning a salesperson in our company, because of a commission check that's really big, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. I want to do that because that means we made money, they made money. It was a win. Mm-hmm. We all made money, and it means we helped somebody. So it's ultimately, when it comes back to the customer, it's like, did we help the customer?
Yeah, because you've been trying to replace her now for quite some time. You did. Mm-hmm. And you were very generous in your offering for bringing somebody along as like a salesperson. That was a 10% that you were looking to give them, and even if you were the one that started the conversations and closed the business, and they happened to be in the same room, they were getting a piece of it.
Yeah, they get 10% if it's theirs. Right. So if it's all theirs, they created 100%. That's theirs, and then I'm going to give them a percentage. It's less. It's 2%. I'll give them a percentage of everything I do. So all they got to do is be in the same room with me, learning. Right. And so ultimately, that's how I'm paying them. Is literally, it's like, okay, everything I'm writing, you're getting a percentage of because you're there with me learning it. Do you have like a CapEx type of approach to selling, or an OpEx for businesses where they can pay month to month? Or is it like break fix, they buy a system and then you got to move on to find the next solution? That's a good question. Yes. Typically you pay cash for the cameras. Yeah. The recording device that we use is not a standalone NVR, which is what the vast majority of our competition and the public does. It's the same thing as what you can buy at Costco or Sam's pretty much. Right. We don't use that. We use a computer that does the recording. Yeah. And because it's a computer, that means we can remote in and help you. We can screen share immediately. That's big. We can screen share and we can update it. Mm-hmm. Standalone, you can't do those things. You can't screen share and you can't update it. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we sell that for $90 a month. You get two things. You get a computer that we built that can hold up to 64 cameras. It stays at 90, where you have one camera hooked up to it, or 64. Mm-hmm. When we sell you the cameras, we'll add more hard drive to the computer, add more RAM. So we'll keep it as fast as it was with one, just the same as with 64 cameras. So you get the hardware, and then you get unlimited support. Mm-hmm. And that's the big thing. The vast majority of businesses already have cameras, but they can't. They're not, it's so comical. I'll say, hey, show me your cameras. And of course they take me to where they are. And I was like, no, show them to me on your phone. Yeah. Sometimes they can. The majority of the time they can't, especially when I start saying, well, show them to me on your laptop. Yeah. Well, I've never seen them on my laptop. It's like, I can get it on if you can get it on the internet, I'll get it on so you can see it.
The notion of, working on your business versus in it is a very easier said than done notion, I've always thought. Being in the business world as long as I have, which is, side hustle for a majority of my life, full-time since 2016. So I'm 8 years in, with a couple of hiccups here and there, which are always expected. Is that a thing? I mean, I feel like you're at the point where you can work on your business a lot more than you're in it. But, when you lose a key employee, you got to get back in it, right? How has that balance been for you over the years? When did you feel like you could truly work on your business? How long did it take?
That's a good question, because also, what do I enjoy doing? Right. I like helping, so I like meeting the customers. I like that. Yeah. So you're the lead salesperson, essentially. Correct. Right. Correct. Now, my son Alec, who is 29 now, he's in essence, he likes the day-to-day more. And so he's a perfect fit to run the company, to organize the technicians, to schedule, to do the ordering. And so he does all of that. my wife, Jackie, used to do the books, and we now, through BNI, we found a Keith Rathburn of Strategic Strategies that does the books for us now. So, so that helps out dramatically, because then we can have once a month, you can then look at, well, here's the numbers, you know where you're at. It keeps you in the know. It keeps you in the essence of working on, your company. And saying that, being out in sales, I know how much is coming in because, I'm sitting there seeing it. I know that these guys are we've bid out, like, let's say a couple of really big apartment complexes. My close rate's right about 50%. And so about every place I go, half of them are going to go ahead and sign on. So when I know that I'm getting out there as much as I should, and that part of it is good, it's really the concept sell. So Alec takes care of the back end. I've got just to get the concept across, which is people do more good and less bad if they know they're being watched.
Yeah.
And then I just got to teach that over and over again to the business owner, and really do what you're saying, teach the business owner how to work on their business instead of in it.
Yeah.
And that's really what surveillance does. You can now, because it has audio too, so you can now listen in to a counter person, and you can say, hey, you did a really good job with that person. Try this next time. Matter of fact, how about, let me teach you how to suggestive sell. It's, instead of saying, do you want to supersize that? No. If I wanted to supersize, I would have told you. But if you had said to them instead, like, hey, we can make this a supersize by just adding 75 more cents, basically you're getting, your drink for half price.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
Showing them the value.
Yes.
My business partner's got a concept he taught to me because he's a world-class salesman and businessman. I call him a juggernaut, and I'm pulling it up here just at the top as spontaneous. This is what we do on this podcast. Sometimes these things kind of reveal themselves, and we talk about them. Swipedaz.
Swipedaz?
SWPDAZ. And it's a solution. I'm intrigued by selling strategies and processes because, as you know, I sold cars for a season, and there's always a process to selling. Some are much better than others, and the process, the fundamentals are always there for a reason. You got to have, a basic greeting and uncovery, asking questions, finding out what they need, presentation, that kind of thing, demo, trial, close, and then of course, follow up and referral asking. So his is Swipedaz, SWPDAZ, because every time he gets in front of a customer, especially with what we're doing with lighting. Not just lighting, colored lighting. So full color, a need, not a want, or a want, not a need type of product. His close rate's probably 85%. He's just a juggernaut. So I said, I asked him, he says, try the Swipedaz method. And it's solution, why it matters, the price, deal, why is it a good deal, and assume the close, zip it.
Zip it. Stop talking. You keep talking, you lose.
Yeah, it's very fundamental. It's somewhat easy to remember, but it makes so much sense when you kind of apply it that way.
Nice.
The assumptive close and what you meant, the suggestive techniques that you used before. There's such fascination. I think they're very fascinating. Where did you derive a lot of your sales training from? Do you remember?
Well, interesting. On my way here, I was with the new sales trainee. I'm talking to him on the phone. I was like, okay, can you name out the demo outline that I just did? Can you go in and now name each area, how many different things I did for each area? Yeah. So ours is Sid and Sue have an itsy bitsy pack and close. It's a little bit longer than that one. So, and each one's an acronym. Sid, slide in the door, which technically is do what other salespeople don't do. You don't want to be a salesman. You want to be prepared. You're not winging it,
Right.
So anyways, and that takes this whole demo outline could take a while if you go over the whole thing. But Sue has set up the equipment, and Itzy is introducing the concept. And so, which is people do more good and less bad if they know they're being watched. But there's lots of ways to get it across to someone by saying like, hey, if this TV right here showed me on it on one of the cameras. So now I see that TV when I walk in, I'm on. Like, oh, okay. Well, I'm now got into my brain to realize I'm on camera. So at this point, why would I do something wrong? And why would I steal something in this room that's very valuable when I know I'm on camera? So that's the concept.
Yeah.
And so
that's what works. You stick with it, right?
Yeah. Bitsy is benefits to the customer, and then placement and cost is the pack, and then the close.
You ever hear of FBI?
FBI.
Feature, benefit, impact.
Ooh, I like that.
So in the car business, the feature was like, let's say a door handle, right? And I'll use something as extremely as elementary as that. The benefit is that it opens the door. The impact is that you don't have to pry your hands and use your fingers to pry the door open. Right. The handle does it for you. That's the impact.
It didn't come right off.
Right.
Yeah.
I used to do those kinds of things. If I had a customer, and you got this a lot in the car business where their wall would be up, and I would do my damnedest to try and knock the wall down, try to be funny, which a lot of the time, I bomb. But I would get into like the Christopher Walken approach where I just start doing my impression and see if they picked up on it and maybe they'd loosen up. Otherwise, I'd get utterly ridiculous. I would say, at the time it was Mercedes. I said, here's the Mercedes-Benz. How do you get into the car? And they'd look at me like you're looking at me right now. And, it's the Mercedes-Benz door. Okay. First and foremost, you have to open the door, right? So let's open the door. Look at that. Now what? Well, I want to sit down. Perfect. The Mercedes-Benz seat. Look at that seat. It's welcoming, supple, it's luxurious, and I would just be that elementary to the point they would look at me like I'm a lunatic. And hopefully eventually they'd just be like, okay, I'm just funning around with you right now. Hopefully you're loosening up. This is not a high pressure situation. That's not how I operate. What is it what's important to you in a car? I would even go to the point where like, this is the steering wheel. Let's say you're going down the road and you see a curve coming up. Now what? Well, if you turn the steering wheel to the right, you're going to go make the car go right. And I would do it that seriously in that deadpan. Is that crazy or? If someone did that to you,
what if
be
you're
like, okay,
backing up?
What if I have a trailer on?
Do you still turn right to go right when you're backing?
Well, trailer, you got to think the opposite. But yeah, I used to do stuff like that because sometimes you just get people that were just, they didn't want to hear from anything.
That's funny.
They wanted your help. It's not like I was trying to hound them. That's not what we did. But sometimes it would just that wall was up, man.
Well, that's very, very true, and that's the aggravating point. Like when we give a bid to like a property manager. Actually, this has happened recently. And you can tell pretty quickly that the property manager has nothing in it. Yeah. It's not theirs.
Yeah.
They could care less.
They're doing a job.
They just want a bid because the owner of the apartment said, get me a bid.
Yeah.
And when you start kind of going over some concepts and ways to really help and lessen the cost, because it's not how many cameras you get.
Yeah.
It's if you only got one, but you use that one, and every single person that came in and out, you were able to talk to, send them a picture, show them their tags, just say, hey, I saw you come in and out, whatever. Now they know you're using it.
Right.
So 100 cameras could do nothing if no one's using them.
And just a tool. You're really just selling the concept, what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Just, hey, you want to have a panopticon type of approach to your business, be everywhere at once through your phone, make sure that your employees know that, they're going to be on camera, but at the same time, depending on the kind of boss you are, and you and I have talked about this in the past, you can, see it for waiting for them to mess up, or you can reward good behavior. You know,
I think a lot of people say like, oh, they were thinking that they were only going to get 4 and I sold them 10.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I have people call me all the time. I'm thinking I'm going to need 16 cameras. So I was like, okay, well, let me come out and I'll see what I can do and sell them 4.
Yeah.
Because I go with that concept. But those are the owners.
Yeah.
Like that one that I was telling you about that we just actually recently had, you could tell he didn't care. He was just like, I'm just getting this bid. I've heard sales pitch. I don't want to hear sales pitches.
I'm doing the job. That's it.
And you're like, I'm not trying to give you a sales pitch. I'm trying to actually save you money by putting in less cameras than what you guys.
That's just the tool.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, we got the new guy that just started in BNI, Sean Duhigg from Magic Apple. He, I actually worked for Magic Apple for a season, and I actually do a podcast with their ownership group. And they were talking about the notion of a trade approach to what they do. For the trades, you got a lot of people that are electricians, plumbers, HVAC people. They branch out on their own. They try to, they're starting a business. They essentially, for a season, create a job that they own. And, at some point they start bringing people on, extra help. And when it's not done right, when you're sending people into other people's homes and they're conversing with the tech and they create a relationship with that tech might be using their cell phone to communicate with the customer. Therefore, the business and the owner has no connection to retain that customer. So if that guy if the tech decides to leave, what recourse do you have other than a non-compete or anything like that? Or, those kinds of things that are tough to defend if you want to, file suit to go after somebody and spend the money. But what if you had your own, soft phone system that not only gave you auto attendant features, messaging on hold, but also the ability to track and see, hey, while you're on the clock, you got to use our technology. It exists on your cell phone. There's so many different benefits. It's the concept of, hey, here's how you retain your clientele. When someone has to go away, they're taking their cell phone with them, and you could just turn off their system.
Yeah, when they go on hold and they're listening to this background music, we really need a good voice to come on and advertise the company.
Who can do that,
I think,
imagine.
I think, Jim, your voice is the beautiful harmony for advertisement on hold.
Well, if you call Magic Apple today, you will hear my voice. So
nice.
That and a couple other plugs I'll put out there. Mercedes-Benz in Music City. If they put you on hold, you will hear my voice.
Nice.
Yeah. But with a lot of other things, with the selling of these things, you doing what you've been doing for so long. I mean, you're now into what, year 23, 24 of your own business?
Yes.
Have you ever thought about that number recently? And my gosh, has it been a quarter of a century already?
Yeah. I mean, I really never thought of an exit strategy. The Lacey thing was really the first time I really was like, wow, do I really want to keep doing this?
What else would you do?
Well, that's probably the one reason right off the bat, and then feeling her now is the other. I probably would have gotten in construction if I hadn't gotten into surveillance because I really like the construction side of it, which is kind of goes hand in hand with the hardware side of cameras. Is understanding how to mount a TV on the wall, obviously, and how to get the cabling where you're not going to see it, and how the proper place for a camera, and just how lighting, this would be on your side of the fence, how lighting works, putting a camera over here looking with the light, which the number one wrongly installed camera is the classic looking at the front door.
Yeah.
The camera is right there. It's looking straight into the glass. And what does it get, though? It gets the worst picture possible because it's dark. And you're not getting that much of a view. Where if you put it where the door is looking in, the moment they walk in, they're on.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, sometimes people are like, yeah, but you're seeing their back. But you see their face when they come out.
Yeah.
And guess what? If someone is thinking about robbing, they have a plan, okay? The plan goes by the plan when they walk in, but the plan isn't the plan when they're walking out.
Right.
It's changes, okay?
It's improvisation.
Yeah,
time.
and now they're more apt to be looking up, and you see what they're carrying.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing is you get the entire room and the best picture that the camera can give.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. There you go.
Because you're always, that's a part of the job, I guess, that comes along with what you do is looking at the placement.
That's comedy, I think, for me. It's like, wow, look at that camera. Or yesterday I was at an apartment complex that had Smile, you're on camera, and it's a dummy camera.
Right.
And I'm sitting there like, that is a liability because it's not a real camera.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'll give you a interesting tidbit. So this happened right when I started. So in essence, over 30 years ago, and it wasn't in Tennessee, but a lady got raped in a Walmart parking lot. Mm-hmm. She got raped by 2 guys, and she worked there. So she knew they had cameras. Well, when they went to get the footage to help solve the crime and arrest these guys, the Walmart was like, well, the only real cameras we have are the ones over the registers. Those big shoe boxes that you see up on the roof, and they're all over the roof. There's not even
I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
There's not even a camera in them. Yeah. So Walmart was creating this illusion of security on their parking lot that they did not have. Mm-hmm. So her lawyer won a massive settlement, okay, because Walmart had done that. And today, Walmart solves, all the greatest. That's the joke when I first came in. Is every crime is always solved in Walmart parking lot because they had the best camera system now in their parking lot.
So is it like a case of a false sense of security?
Yeah, so you're fooling people, and you can't do that. And so that's a major lawsuit. So an apartment complex that puts up dummy cameras all over the place, and they don't have any real ones. Now, you could have some dummy cameras if you have real ones that are also covering the same area. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, or you have real ones and they're not working and they're not working. What a slick lawyer will do is like, can you get me the footage, your footage of this event? Oh, right. It wasn't recording. I still want the footage. Give me the footage of your most recent event. Right. And so they come back and they get like 2 years ago. And you're like, so your system hasn't been working in 2 years. Yeah. And you know that. And, you're going to eventually get it to the point where they know, and ultimately.
Gotcha.
Bam. Yeah.
Have you ever had to sit in depositions?
Yes. I do on a regular basis.
Really?
I am the expert witness.
Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah.
At least you get paid for that, right?
I've been told, but I don't think I've ever seen $1. Yeah,
You're supposed to get paid for that.
Oh, and I've got a lot of lawyer friends, and they've said that, but I don't. I haven't seen $1.
I would imagine that over the last couple of years, with the permeation of security cameras, everybody's getting their homes decked out now. You've got more awareness to do what you do, which I would assume makes your job easier. But then you got the rings and those types of things that have popped up. How has that played into everything you do? I mean,
those are good. Yeah. Everyone should get a Ring doorbell.
Right.
That the thought that you can get in and out of a community without being seen nowadays is getting less and less likely. Yeah. So those are great do-it-yourself devices. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it clouds someone's thoughts because they're like, well, this notifies me. And it's like, yeah, but that's just notifying you because you're right there at the door. So you're going to have to pay more, and it's going to be a little bit more of a commercial grade system if you're wanting it to notify you when it's your mom, right, or notify you when it's a man driving a red truck. The AI now, the intelligence of cameras, you can literally have it, notify you when a person with a red shirt driving a blue truck pulls up.
Wow.
Yeah, and doesn't notify you on anything else. So you can actually get that far now down the road.
Right. Well, have you seen like an easier approach to what you do over the past couple of years? I mean, because you got so many things in play. You know what you're doing. You know how to prospect. You're well known in the community. You know how to network. You know your craft. You know your trade. But I mean, aside from those things, has it gotten easier, in your opinion, with the permeation of security cameras in the world?
You can do what you've been saying, your own concept, easier. Mm-hmm. So back in the, a long time ago, we had tapes that were only 8 hours. And so you would, and to get audio, you had to record in real time. So you weren't wanting to use the time lapse because you wanted audio. Well, that meant you had to stick a tape in 3 times a day if you happened to be a 24-hour store. And then you had to watch that. And then you had to tell them what a good job. Now I can see on my phone, I can go to the recording, I can listen to the audio, and I can talk to them immediately, and I can send them a picture. I can take a snapshot of them on the camera and send it to them instantaneously. So you can have the awareness that you're watching. If you walk into a room and you see a camera and you're like, I know the owner's watching, they won.
Yeah.
They won in a good way because everyone's going to act different. But when you walk in and you don't know the camera's there, you're just like, they're not using it, then there is no deterrent. So it is so easy to deter when people know you're using the system, and it's gotten much easier.
Right. So basically, your job has gotten easier.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. Gotcha.
Yeah, we can preach our concept and they can do it.
Right. Because, the cameras are everywhere. You can't escape them.
Pretty much all businesses have cameras.
There's actually, and is there a lot more opportunity for collaboration with other companies?
We get in and, I try to tell people when they decide to go with another company, keep our card. Yeah. Because we can reuse their cameras, or we can help them use their cameras. We don't have to be the company that installed the cameras. So yes, we can work with other companies. What we're going to do is we're going to get them over onto the computer, that $90 a month, and we can relicense the cameras, and now we can support them immediately. We can keep them updated. We can keep it on their phone. They get a brand new phone, we'll get it on their phone. So we can help them at that point.
And with that being said, with a lot of the things that are going out in the world today, you must see some pretty bizarre things.
Yeah.
I guess so. A lot of things you got to keep under wraps and stuff like that. But talking in generals, what's the craziest thing that you've seen?
Well, this is where, like, when people start saying, you can't fix stupid, or, I'm not smart enough to lie because I'm not going to remember everything I said.
Yeah.
And so you start seeing that. Like, for instance, we had this guy that walked out and looked up at the camera at an apartment. And there was snow there. So you could see him kind of like, okay, here's the view of that camera. He's not seeing what the camera's showing, but he's figuring out the view. Then he walks back out later. So later being the key word, not then. Walks back out later as he's on the curb, and he slips and falls and hits the ground. So it's like, okay, this looked really bad.
Right.
But the fact that you saw him earlier looking at the camera, well, then he limps off. This girl walks the same path that he does, and right as he's like limping off, and nothing, she doesn't hit the spot. No, there is no slip.
Right.
And then the next day, you see him walking out, and he's fine. Okay. And so it's stuff like that where they're just not thinking.
Right.
I got a video of a guy entering an old folks home that he works at. And he's got a cast that you can take on and off.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got it on and he waves at him. So you see it on camera, he waves at him. At lunchtime, he doesn't have it, and he goes basically the HR and says, I fell and I hurt my hand. It's like, dude, you arrived with your brace on.
Yeah. Is it fair to assume that, in general areas that you're being watched somehow?
Oh, yeah, you're on everywhere. It's all the streets. They have them all. So it's so easy to follow someone back to their house when they've done wrong.
Yeah.
It's just you can follow it back now in the streets. They've gotten so intelligent.
Yeah.
To be able to follow a blue truck, and it just goes from one camera to the next camera, to the next camera.
You, on the last episode, you talked about, wanting to highlight the good that people do, which I can appreciate because, I would imagine you have to have that mindset with the stuff that you come across. Because, you're talking about humanity here, especially when it doesn't think it's being watched. They're going to try and do stuff they think they can get away with,
This is what your mom probably told you when you were growing up. Jim, before you say something bad, you need to say a couple of good things.
Yeah.
Say 3 good things before you say 1 bad thing. Yeah. And what honey will cure more things, and it's
vinegar and all that stuff.
Yeah. All these things that your mom or your grandmom said, they're true.
Yeah.
And so when you are as an owner, when you're trying to brag on a person and give them tips or bonuses, incentives, because you caught it on camera and you can show them, and you show them in front of others, and you say, look at them, look at what they're doing. This is what I want. This is great. And so what you're doing is you're making that person feel great. They want to work for you, and everyone else learns.
Yeah.
And then what's awesome is you're creating these positive habits. It takes 21 days is what I hear to form good or bad habits.
Is it only 21? I always thought it was like 3 months. And that number vacillates. We got to nail that down, for crying out loud.
So, it obviously, if you do something every day, you're going to get in the habit of it.
Yeah.
And so if you, as an owner, get in the habit of just looking for something good, but you saw it either live or you saw it on the recording, the key is now tell the person.
Yeah.
You can sit there and watch video all day long, and you're just going to pull your hair out and probably shoot yourself.
Yeah.
That's worthless. That's not going to improve your company. If you'll watch 5 minutes before you arrive, well, that's interesting. 5 minutes around lunchtime when you go to lunch, and 5 minutes at the end of the day. The critical thing is those 3 times that took 15 minutes, 5, 5, and 5.
Yeah.
Now let whoever you're watching know. Tell them. Here's a great one. In your office that you're working, if you're in an office where employees come in and out all the time, play back yesterday.
Yeah.
Every day. Just leave it on. You don't have to be paying attention. Just leave it on. You're doing something else. An employee walks in and they're sitting there seeing yesterday. Why in the world would you do something?
Behavior via paranoia.
Oh, my God. Yeah. But behavior. It's still up to the owner to give out a positive attitude. Now, if an owner is a horse's butt, they're going to resent it. If you're always whipping people and saying you're not doing this and you're not doing this, and they're going to quit.
They're gonna reap the culture they sow.
Yes,
no matter what.
A surveillance system is a mirror reflection of the owner. The thing is owners aren't what Hollywood says that they are. They're good people.
The cigar chomping boss behind the table.
Yeah, that's such Hollywood. It's
once upon a time, a lot of the Hollywood stuff, it kind of had to derive from reality at some point.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There are stereotypes for a reason.
There are some bad people out there, but I'll tell you the amount of bad people compared to the amount of good people.
Yeah. But the scary thing is, dude, the amount of stuff you find, like especially if you I'll look at Twitter, for some stupid reason in the morning and just to see what's been going on. It's like my news feed. And I see videos of people getting their butts kicked. Really bad stuff. Not only are they being picked up by surveillance cameras, but now with phones, people standing around just getting, trying to get social media content that they think is cool. And nobody's going to do anything to help the victim. That kind of stuff, but yet they still do it, knowing that they're being watched.
Yeah. And Jim, that kind of gets me, and that's probably my area that affects me the most, meaning that when I've given really good advice on how to prevent a rape, and then on the surveillance system that we installed where they didn't follow some of the advice, but now we do have cameras, and the camera footage I have to watch because we have to help them, and it shows the rape. That is That really, really stinks.
Yeah.
I've got an apartment complex that we'll just say it's over off of Music Row. And I went over the fact of putting a spot monitor near the underground gate area where you would see yourself when you're at the gate.
Yeah.
First of all, that's going to let everyone see that if I ram the gate, because the reason why I originally sold this particular apartment complex is because their gate was always getting hit. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, let's just put a TV up there. So you're going to see yourself. And so that they're going to know that you're the one that hit the gate. You're going to get confessions. But you're going to have a camera and you'll be able to catch it either way.
Right.
But with the TV, it's also when you see that camera, you're like, oh, wow, there's that camera I'm on. Oh, hey, there's another camera that looks the same. So that's going to have a good picture because I can see it. And then they're all over the place. Well, the second thing on this is allow your community to use the cameras, specifically the gate. If you can code someone in, if someone calls and say, hey, I'm at the gate, all right, and they buzz and they let you in, why not be able to see the person you're letting in?
So having like a public access within people that in the community of the apartment complex, they can get access to that.
Absolutely. You have 300 units. 300 people could have access to just at least that gate.
Right.
So when this rape happened, the guy had been there for over 2 hours on campus before the rape.
Wow.
He walks in, follows a car. So he walks in, gets on the other side of the gate, and then he lifts it off the rocker. So now the gate can't close. So now he's got it where half of it's open all the time.
Yeah.
And then he's literally, you can see him on camera finding the best place where you can't see his shadow. He's looking for where I'm going to hide. Mm-hmm. All on camera. And then when he goes back outside, sits there, and unfortunately this lady drives through, they actually get eye contact.
Right.
He goes into his hiding spot. She parks her car, and as she's walking, he tackles her, covers her mouth, basically goes over the rules, what's going to go down, takes her and rapes her. And then you see him run off. He's got her keys, and he steals her car.
Wow.
All in camera. So here's the thing, Jim, is if you could see the gate, the thought that 300 units, which times maybe 2 people in a unit, 600 people potentially, that none of them couldn't been watching to have prevented that. When you don't allow, you have a zero. Right. When you do allow, you have at least a chance. And I'm not talking about Dumb and Dumber where you're saying there's a chance, a 1 in a million. Right. There's a legitimate chance because she also felt kind of weird when she got the eye contact when she was pulling in. She could have then called her boyfriend and said like, hey, there's a kind of a weird guy out. Why don't you, look at the camera, look in at the gate. Yeah. Also, the gate wasn't working for a while.
Right.
Someone else may have said, hey, the gate's out. We need to check into this.
Yeah.
Now, it's just, that is what gets me. When you give out really good advice and it's just not followed, and then exactly the thing that you were warning them on that you really feel like you could have prevented wasn't.
Yeah, but you're still dealing with human nature. We had a guy in our HOA meeting was, with the pool that we have a security system there and a camera system. And he goes, well, can we get access as homeowners to the pool cameras? And it's like, well, that's not creepy at all. That's just kind of weird. But he just wanted to be able to send his kids and not have to go and, hey, I can keep an eye on them through the cameras. And you kind of got to be there. But
I get that one quite a bit. They're like, we don't want someone sitting there watching cameras. Like, well,
15-year-old girls and stuff like that.
It's like, what would it be less creepy if they're at the pool sitting there looking at somebody?
But, there's that too, but it's there's just the aspect of you have no idea who's behind the camera watching.
Well, that's the reason why, when we're in public, we should always think someone's watching.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's ultimately
the biggest problem. Why can't any of these damn cameras pick up UFOs, for crying out loud? We're the most, surveilled that we've ever been in history. We still cannot get a clear picture of a flipping UFO.
Or Bigfoot.
Or Bigfoot.
Or the Loch Ness Monster.
It's like UFOs have been huge in the news lately, right? I've been seeing them trend. They kind of ebb and flow with the different things that pop up. And it's still like someone can't hold the damn camera steady. Well, it's going up. Here it comes. It's 2 miles away. Well, what about the people that see it that are directly underneath the friggin' thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If
an Elon Musk can't record a UFO, I don't know if anyone can.
Maybe they don't really exist. Maybe that's supposed to be that way. So getting back to Ryan Reid, 5-10 years from now, you had mentioned I don't really keep on doing this. What would you do? I mean, what's if you could wave a magic wand?
So I just
sell the business, or because my point I'm making is that we all have to have purpose. You and I are similar in age. I want to say, I always think about that time of my life. I still want purpose, right? Whether it's running the business. My father-in-law is 80 years old and still goes into work every single day.
Yeah. My father died of Parkinson's. He retired about 5 years, which a lot of people say 5 years after you retire, you pass away.
Yeah.
Well, he did.
Yeah.
And I know Parkinson's is a totally different thing. That was going to probably take him out regardless.
Right.
But I like what I do. I'll scale back probably 5 years from now. I would be doing a lot less. If we were to sell the company, I probably would start a surveillance camera company up in a different state.
Yeah.
So
that's what you know how to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. I like all the concepts. It's very similar to BNI, which is giver's gain.
Yeah.
When you use cameras the right way, they're wonderful because some of the stuff that you catch that's funny.
Yeah.
Some of the UFO things that it was like the only way that could have happened was it was a UFO, and then you look at the camera and you're like, oh wow, it was a deer that was in my backyard,
Mm-hmm.
or it was a cat, or it was, so often it was just such an easy answer. You just didn't see it because it was too close to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And you still can't get a good picture of a ghost, People have the cameras inside their houses. I never understood that.
Yeah. Well, see, it's difficult because the cameras have gotten so good that when you try to, make it look like a ghost, you wind up seeing the string. You wind up seeing I can see, the movement. I can see the thread count. It's so my thought is because the cameras have gotten so much better, you're getting less UFOs or ghosts or whatever.
Right.
It's killing the own product. So if you think about the Loch Ness Monster, that video footage is so grainy.
Yeah.
So it's is that an elephant? Is it someone swimming? With the backstroke,
right? Because it's back in VHS days, where they get all the classic images. Here we are at this podcast studio with these cameras. It's in HD quality and all this other stuff. I'm looking at myself and it's very clear, and it's just crazy how. I think we're up to 8K now in the technology for the clarity.
That's actually more of an analog because 4K is 400,000 lines of resolution. A 4 megapixel camera is 4 million.
Yeah.
So that's a lot to work with.
Yeah. A lot of data.
Yes.
So with that being said, how do people find and follow you and all that fun stuff?
All right. Well,
wrap it up.
Ryan, ICU Security, Inc.com is so that's Ryan at ICUSecurityInc.com is my
and it's
email.
Letters ICU.
Correct. Yeah. So our website is the same. It's ICU, the letters, because I see you, just the letters, securityinc.com is our website.
Well, very cool, man. Well, thanks for coming out on this wonderful Friday, even though it's kind of overcast and chilly outside. It's always a pleasure to sit with you, my friend.
Yes.
Awesome. So there you go. All the details, as usual, will be in the description. Hit us up at MMTBP.com. Let us know how we did. Share it with your friends. If it's worthy of a 5-star review, please go ahead and do so. That would be fantastic. It helps us grow the audience and grow the podcast. We're trying to be a service for all Middle Tennessee business owners, entrepreneurs, and, professionals overall. And sometimes we even get people from other states that come and join us. If you want to be on the podcast, do understand it is an in-person show for the most part. We don't do, virtuals or anything like that because the in-person aspect of a podcast is so much better, in my opinion. It's such a better conversation. And of course, I always thank you for listening and watching. Check us out once again, MMTBP.com. Ryan, always a pleasure. Hope you have a great weekend, my friend.
You're the best, Jim.